I was glad. They were supposed to take me in September because that was the last time I was examined. And they said, for you go home, take care of your business, you'll be back here in 2 weeks. But they didn't call me in 2 weeks. It was finally called me in December. This was September. Well, I didn't have to go up through, I went through their business instead of me going in. But I guess a lot of them went in to get into the Navy. To Camp Roberts, and took 13 weeks of training there. It was the infantry I was trained in. So you go through all that. Rifle, grenades, at that time gas, taking you for gas, taught you about if you had got gas, they give you a gas mask and things like that. And of course a lot of walking, so you'd be in good shape, I guess. He was supposed to go to the Philippines and they had to give it up because they get Philippines, you know, MacArthur got out of there and we went to Adelaide, Australia, which is in the south part of Australia. And when we got off the ship there, they had American tents that we could put up, and you could get 4. We had cots that we could put in. We'd get 4 in that, and be 4 men in there at Adelaide. And then when we trained there for a while, and they moved us to Brisbane by train. And by the way, the trains over there are not like here. They don't have the same gauge rails. You had to change. A certain train will go so far, you had to get on another train from Adelaide up to Brisbane. And of course we lived in pub tents there. And they decided they wanted us to take camel training at Herne Bay in Australia. That's off the coast of Newcastle. So they moved us down there, and we trained down there in boats and things. And then they pulled us out of there and took us back to Brisbane and put us on board ship to go to Port Moresby. And the ship we was on was a Liberty ship, which is just a Congo ship. And we got 1 meal a day on that ship going in there. We was in a bad storm, very bad storm. We had a boat on the second hull of the ship. And there was Australians with us too. And the Australians, some of them slept in that boat. In that storm, that boat broke loose from that hole. And of course, I don't know what happened. We don't know what happened to the guys in that boat. They never did find the boat. But we finally got to Port Moresby. And we was there for about a week when we went on the trails to go get over to where the Japs was. I was walking. There's a few, I don't know how, few miles, I'll put it that way, to get there. We had 1 meal a day, and they had a big hose come out of salt water. That's why you try to cool off. That didn't do you any good because you had salt on it. But that's why you tried to clean up a little. And the sewage business was a trough that went through the place where you, and of course, no, it went into the ocean. And you slept on deck. There when we had that storm, they put us down in a hole. So you can imagine what that's like. With a bunch of men stinking from sweat. And of course we had our rifles and different things also. But stink, your own stink from each other. It wasn't very pleasant. You tried to sleep, but you couldn't. It was just kind of rough. It was very hot, and of course we knew we'd be going into combat. See, they own Stanley mountain ranges in New Guinea. And the Japanese was on the opposite side from Port Moresby. We landed in Port Moresby and went to trails of natives to get over the mountains where the Japs where the Japs were. That's the combat I was in Buna. That was one of the combats there. That's where I got hurt. I wasn't never like a lot of my buddy. I had a buddy that never did get hurt. I had more than one buddy, but one that never got hurt. He was in 5 battles, not just in New Guinea. This time he got to the Philippines. I mean, our outfits. You have, like, you get wounded, eventually somebody else takes your place in the company. In my company, there was only one officer lived through it. I mean, the original, the ones I was with.
Wow.
He survived. And this one buddy was a machine gunner, which is a very dangerous thing because the Japs was very good with their mortars, knocking out things, but he never did get hurt. Mortar, of course, I had grenades and a rifle and ammunition. The main thing on that New Guinea was having food and ammo. And you didn't have helicopters then. They had 47s, a cargo ship, plane that come over and drop it out of the plane. That was sometimes the right place and sometimes the wrong place. It was all, I call it more or less a gas thing. Yes, you're fortunate that it maybe hit where you're in your eye. They knew where to drop it, but in a mountain area, it's kind of hard to do it the right way. But anyway, that was some of the things. Well, some of it's pretty rough. You're near the equator there, and it's hot all the time. And it's raining sometimes. It rains every day, but sometimes it's pretty rough. Then you come to hot sun. But anyway, that's just some of the roughness of it. Water on the boat. The train was nice compared to that boat. Very nice. Oh, I want you to see that.
Wow.
You know what that is? That's a pup tent. takes two to make it. You have one part. I slip in there a lot. Well, you just got used to it. You slip on wherever you're at. When you bivouac, that's all. That's what you had. I guess I never thought about it. We're supposed to get rid of the jabs. That's in our kind of in our head, you know. Jabs wasn't good, and of course Americans wasn't good to the jabs. Well, I got shot through here and it come out above my hip. I had a time to get the blood stopped. Then about 4 hours later, I was back where I was wounding people where I got shot through the voice box. But it bled, but not very like this. I couldn't get it stopped. This week got stopped pretty quick. But our medics, I didn't tell you about this, we had 2 medics to accompany. And they both got killed before I got hurt. So your buddies helped you out when you got hurt. You had medication that you carried and they had medication. And you had a little bit of gauze and things like that, but it was just kind of a mess, I'll put it that way. And naturally in hot things like that, you smell quick. That blood really smells. But you carry through. You use all the strength you got. No, both of them didn't hurt. We were lucky that night the Jets used their fire bullets. I mean, all night long. And this was early in the morning when I got hurt. And evidently they run out of those fire bullets. So I was fortunate. Anybody got hurt that morning, there wasn't fire bullets. Because the fire bullets really tore a person up. They exploded when they hit you and tore things up. Some of the guys really got tore up. The bad thing is, the government let my parents know, and then of course it said it was a bad wound, you know. And naturally they thought I was really, when you have ones that's lost their legs or been hit in different places. So I was fortunate there. Just took medicine to help overcome it. That comes on you and your dad could tell you that. It comes on you and it's like, well, I guess it would be like a flu. And you're sick till you kind of overcome the seizure at that time. Fortunately, it had it last, for me, 3 to 4 days. You're really very sick. It works on your bones and stuff, and you don't feel too good. That one, the good one, he passed away 3 years ago. Or no, 4 years ago. We kept in contact all the time. Every year we'd get together. The other one, we had what they called us the Three Stooges. His name was Kavanaugh. He was from my way also, but he got killed. he was Kavanaugh was very intelligent in things that he learned. His computer up in his head really kept it. He was very intelligent compared to Beeman and I. Beeman was the other man. Beeman is the one that I said never did get hurt. He maybe getting out of camp. When we was doing that at Hearn Bay, of course we needed showers and stuff. We didn't have any, and we found there was a place there at Hearn Bay that was a resort for back then, and we said we're going to get out of there and go up there and get back, which we did. We got cleaned up for a change, shaved and all that, but we ran out of cigarettes. We needed cigarettes, and on that weekend we went AWOL back to Newcastle, and we found cigarettes. And coming back, here's our officers coming back on the scene, and we said, we'll really have it now. Anyway, they didn't find cigarettes, so we got out of it. We had some. We got to give them some of our cigarettes, so we didn't get anything happen to us. We had nights also. Our captain was tops, I'd say. But he didn't make it back. He was one of the first officers who got killed. Well, going AWOL. Getting out of camp for a while on a weekend. And wanting to see other things. When we was at Brisbane, us Stooges, us three, we went up to the mountain there over a weekend. Of course, the plateaus in every mountain, you know, regards plateau up there, and he even had a dairy up there, besides the resort places. We got acquainted with, we went out to where the dairy was and got acquainted with those people. But the trail up there to that area was very rough. Getting up there, and we got up there. But coming down, there was a man brought us down in some kind of an old pickup. He brought us down that, and in a way we thought maybe we shouldn't come down, because it was quite a ride down that mountain getting back to where we wanted to get to camp. But I might say that when I was in Melbourne, that's the hospital I was in the longest, that had an Australian that befriended me there, a young guy. He'd been in the Australian Army and in battle in Africa, and his father had a shoe shop, and he passed away, and they got him to come back to run that shoe shop. Anyway, that's the story of him. And he befriended me, and back then in Australia, gasoline, they got 1 gallon of gas a month. And he had a charcoal burner on the back of his car, and of course he started and then get back to the charcoal burner. And he took me all around Melbourne, different places. And like I say, he was befriending me. He was a young guy. To me, I'd say he was about the same age, but he's very businesslike too, telling me things. That was a nice part at that hospital. But I want you to see some of those things there.
Yeah,
that card that I gave you, that had that. This is when I was in combat. And about 7 months were no letters. You didn't get letters, or first of all, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't. We didn't shave, or just we was dirty all the time. You remember the old Lucky Strike? I took this in some things and put inside that and taped it all up. I thought, well, maybe if I could keep some of this stuff, which I was lucky. I was able to keep that with me, even after getting hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I had it all taped up and everything on account of it's always wet. Being a good soldier, doing things during the combat. Eventually I was proud of it, but it wasn't given to me personally. I mean, it was by mail.